All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
BoJack Horseman, Season 4, Episode 9.
All right, Hollyhock is in a bit of a way right now. She's just been ghosted by her new boyfriend.
As a result of your actions.
Due to BoJack's actions. And regardless of whether she finds out what ended up happening, doesn't matter. Damage has been done.
Yep.
You also said some things about her that she's probably going to have ringing in her own head. And since we now know what your inner, voice sounds like, BoJack.
Don't contribute to it, maybe.
You could, don't, just realize that everybody else has an inner voice, and you could end up being the voice of their inner voice if you are not careful. So, be careful about that.
Yeah. But, hey, you figured out what you did wrong. You did your best to try and fix it, even though you can't undo it. So...
yeah, so make little in treatments, make little advances and initiations to try and just spend time with your daughter.
Yeah.
But in the meanwhile, the other side of things, we've got the Evil X's teamed up together to battle for the state of the soul of California.
Wait, California has a soul?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, something like that. So, let's have the unlikely alliance between Woodchuck, Coodchuck, and Mr. Peanut Butter.
So that ultimately Todd can be the governor.
That's right.
Save California.
We'll stand on the shoulders of the giants. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, something like that.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
My great-great-great-grandmother was called Princess Carolyn. She was an agent and a manager in Hollywood.
What's the difference between an agent and a manager?
Both
Nobody
look to find
knows.
projects for their clients, but only managers can produce.
What?
My mom told me that I come from a long line of strong female cats. Princess Carolyn was the runt of 12, and it made her one of the toughest.
Yes.
Okay,
The day
let's
began
go.
like any other.
This is
Princess
amazing.
Carolyn lived with her boyfriend Ralph. She was pregnant and very happy.
Give me just a sip of the coffee. I can have a sip.
One sip.
Today is going to be great.
Oh, no!
She was wrong. Today was gonna suck.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Not my PC.
Who spilled coffee on the PC?
Yeah. Don't worry, it's fine. It'll get better.
Hey, the very least, we know that the baby makes it through. Oh my gosh. I hate myself.
I don't have a response for that.
I know, I hate myself. That was a horrible, horrible joke.
Princess Carolyn wanted to tell her thank you, but instead she said,
You look tired, Veronica.
"Oh,
Amazing burn, Princess Carolyn.
You're fired.
Wow.
I'm fired?
I tried to talk her out of it, but between the gun movie misfiring and her nuptials turning into nuptials and her blaming you for both of those things...
Who knew Portnoy had so many complaints? Oh.
did you have a good meeting? Did you get fired?"
Watch. Carolyn's actually going to make that
Here's a
movie
latte.
exist.
It's decaf, ma'am.
Thanks, Judah. Every time we fall, we get back up stronger and better than ever. Can I get a hallelujah?
Is that a sort of pressed juice? I'll have one hallelujah on your desk by 12:45.
Great. What's next?
I noticed your necklace was broken, so I pushed back your doctor's appointment and found a reputable jeweler nearby.
Don't know what I'd do without you, my hairy number 2. Oh, God, I'm sorry. That came out horribly.
Perhaps it would behoove us to entice BoJack Horseman back into our stable.
Ugh.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Stable and behoove were poor word choices. I was not trying to engage in punnery during business hours, but we've received 15 more inquiries about BoJack just this morning.
Wow.
I don't think it's wise to look a gift opportunity in the mouth.
BoJack is off the table. So I need this clasp replaced. 24 karat gold. This is a priceless family heirloom.
Princess Carolyn had gotten her necklace from her mother, who got it from her mother, who brought it from the old country. When our ancestors immigrated to America, they were very...
This is amazing!
Okay.
Every night they would
like some
sing the
Five
song
Goes
of
West
the old
stuff.
country, hoping to reclaim the glory of those days.
I just love the cat stock images. This is incredible.
It's actual historical footage, after all.
She never sold that necklace because that was the one gift she could give her daughter. A treasure from the past and a symbol of the tenacity and stick-to-itiveness that has for generations led my family to always land on their feet.
And she still has it.
Yep.
You can come back in about 2 hours.
Work at a jewelry store now?
No, I own my own management company.
Oh yeah, good for you. I'm so proud of you.
Your approval means nothing to me.
Yeah.
So I guess it's good you said no to my offer last year. I offered to buy Vim and merge it with Vigor. We would have called the new company Vimgor.
Oh, right. That offer.
I couldn't believe it when he said you weren't interested.
Well, yeah, because I wasn't, and he does what I say.
Her mind raced. Was Judah capable of deception? She hoped what Charlie told her wasn't true, but her instincts told her the frog wasn't smart enough to lie.
Right.
It was
Yes.
Charlie Witherspoon. Charlie Witherspoon.
Okay.
How does that make
Okay.
you feel?
That very short story makes me feel nothing, but I don't think it's your fault as a storyteller. I often have trouble engaging with narratives.
His lack of response made her hope it wasn't true. Could it all have been a misunderstanding involving it?
That would be a really terrible betrayal if he, like, fucked her over.
Oh, I want to get the life right to that woman I saw on Instagram who had a pretty coffee.
I was just about to hit the corner perfectly.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
God, this is taking forever.
We've been waiting for 15 minutes.
I know. Let's just go home. No, Diane, how could you even suggest that? This is not about us. This is for my daughter. I know.
Yeah.
Excuse me, pardon me. Important celebrity.
Oh
doing the
my
right thing coming
God.
through. I don't look familiar to you at all?
Come on, BoJack. Let's get a number.
Wait a minute. You're Diane Newman.
Yes! Yes!
Loved 20 Reasons to Try the Diva Cup.
Oh, well, thanks. You didn't think 20 was too many reasons?
No way. Number 14 blew my mind.
Didn't I say it would?
Look, we don't have time for this. Where do we get a number?
That line.
Ha!
These forms.
Oh, paper cuts.
Bye, Diane. Keep up the great work.
Amazing.
Get over yourself.
Amazing. Yes.
I'm trying to think of the best way to put this.
Oh, no.
As Charles Lindbergh would say, sometimes you fly an airplane and sometimes you lose a baby. In this case, you didn't fly the airplane.
Wait, what?
Your pregnancy is no longer viable.
How did this happen?
Oh, goodness, I don't know. I wouldn't beat yourself up. Miscarriages happen for so many reasons. There's nothing medically wrong with you. Maybe you just wanted the baby too much. Maybe you didn't deserve it because you were unkind once. Maybe you ran afoul of a trickster god or wood nymph who is now exacting revenge.
Or took a single sip of a caffeinated beverage. You know, who knows?
Oh, there's a procedure. We can do it here later this week. Do you want Darlene up front to call someone to drive you home?
No, I'm okay. I don't need anyone.
Oh.
You're a real tough broad. Except for, the uterus area. Pretty weak.
It's not actually gold, it's just gold-plated, see?
No, it's very expensive. But it's from the old country. It's been in my family for generations.
No, this is costume jewelry from J.C. Penney, circa 1963. Somebody just told you a story. Do you still want a 24-karat gold clasp on this garbage necklace, or...
Oh,
wow.
The music. It hits.
Should you be drinking that?
You don't always know what's best for me, Judah.
Is everything okay, Princess Caroline?
Charlie Witherspoon made you an offer to buy Vim, and you went over my head and turned him down without telling me.
Oh.
So it's true. You lied to me.
Yes.
Because you didn't want to work at a big agency. You don't fit in with other people.
Wait,
You're
let him explain.
Weird.
I was trying to protect you. I knew if you heard the offer, you'd feel like you had to say yes.
I don't need you to protect me.
If you had more time, you could decide what you wanted to do next on your own terms, which you did.
Well, that's not your decision to make.
Princess Caroline, I understand you're upset, and perhaps your emotion.
No. If I can't trust you, then I can't work with you. You're fired.
Thank you for my time here, Princess Caroline. It's been very pleasurable. Until now. This part is sad. Don't forget, you have reservations at 8.
Thank you, Judah.
Good night.
Ruthie, this story has gotten really dark. Happy ending, I promise. But first, let's check in with BoJack and Diane again.
What?
I love those pictures.
Error, error.
Unauthorized B story, no!
It's your dance lady.
Okay, so
She
what do you think
overcomes
about
adversity
National
here.
Paperweight Day? Thanks for keeping my papers in place. I love you as big as outer space.
Okay, so you'd give that card to a paperweight.
Ah, principessa! And Senor
Hey.
Skeleton, welcome back. Let's have a drink then, yes? You know, it's funny, because I thought that in the terroir of the Italian countryside did it. But no, it's a Miss Carey, Washington. Hey, Miss Carey.
And my gal pal here would love some mint tea, right?
You know it.
Bene, bene.
She wanted to tell him, but she also wanted to let him stay in his beautiful, hopeful reality. A reality she herself had lived in just hours before,
Yeah.
which she now longed longed desperately to return.
Missa Carey Underwood. Ooh, Missa Carey Mulligan. Missa Carey, first name Mariah, right this way. Look at all of these Missa Careys.
Yep.
Are you okay?
This is so good.
Oh, well, you want me to drive you?
No, it's fine.
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't believe how much they just
Milk
kept
it?
this going. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Princess Carolyn.
What is going on here?
Only the future.
This is horrifying, and it doesn't look legal, but whatever it is, you better be cutting me in for 10%.
I could cut you off a lot more than that.
All right, you're clearly doing important work here. I'm just gonna have a quick nightcap and go to bed.
What up? Let's rock this party.
Oh, but, is this still the same day?
Princess Carolyn, are you in there?
Yeah, just a second! Todd, get these clowns out of here! Go, 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 go!
Oh! Pile into the car!
Go, scamper, everybody out!
Yeah.
Holy shit! They actually did it! What? What? That was amazing!
Okay. Oh, hello, handsome.
Oh, thank God. You didn't come home. You didn't answer your phone. I
Oh.
was worried.
Aw, you was worried.
Judah told me you might be here. Did you fire him?
She's
That
tipsy.
hipster Chewbacca always getting in my
Hipster
personal
Chewbacca.
biznatch.
I didn't know you still had this place.
I get to drink because baby went gone.
What?
Gone, baby, gone. Like that Ben Affleck movie. Oh, that could be a sequel. Gone, baby, never was. Write that down.
Oh, my God. Princess Carolyn.
It's okay. You know me. I always land on my feet.
Princess Carolyn, I know you want to do this on your own, but you've had 2 miscarriages now.
5.
And... What?
I've had 5 miscarriages.
Yeah.
1 last year, now 1,
course,
and 3
yeah.
others before. But it's whatever. It's okay.
Why didn't you tell me?
Are you kidding? I don't want you looking at me like that.
Hey,
It's not about you.
It is. This is about us.
You're not allowed to be mad at me. This is my bad day.
It's our bad day.
It's so easy for you to
Oh.
love me when everything's good.
Princess Carolyn, let me take you home.
You need to live in this. You need to get used to this because if you're serious about having a baby with me, this could happen again.
I just think we should maybe talk about other options.
Okay, here's another option. Get out of my apartment.
I'm sorry.
Get out! Save it for your next girlfriend. The one you can take home to your parents. The one who's easy.
Goodbye, Princess Carolyn.
Oh. You want to know what I do when I have a really bad, awful, terrible day?
What?
I imagine my great-great-great-granddaughter in the future talking to her class about me.
Whoa.
She's poised and funny
Yes.
and tells people about me and how everything worked out in the end. I think about how everything's going to work out. Because how else could she tell people?
But it's
A lie.
fake.
Yeah, well, it makes me feel better.
Oh, heart, oh, heart.
Whoa.
Fuck. That rug pull at the end. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Fuck, the fight in the apartment was written perfectly. Like,
Yeah, that was
like that sounded so real. Like someone took a variation on a fight that they've had and
Yep.
like
Yep.
it made me so angry because it's like,
Yeah.
fuck, you guys are right there. You're so close.
Yeah.
Ah.
And there was so much other shit that made the fight go that way and happen in the first place.
Right.
That couldn't be dealt with because it wasn't shared.
Yep. Oh my god.
Well,
oh my
okay.
god. Princess Carolyn, I have to just say here, she is probably going to be undefeated as my favorite character until like they do some crazy stuff with BoJack.
Yeah.
Because like
this was really
what kind of effort gets put into giving her these incredibly painfully rich and just gut-wrenchingly like stressful raw episodes. And because she doesn't get really too much focus comparatively to a lot of the other cast, she kind of keeps her episode focus percentage of like quality so high
Exactly.
that it's like it's more like the writers just have so much fun writing Princess Carolyn dialogue, episodes, plots, conflicts, and stuff.
They save her episodes for the ones that are really special.
Right.
And I gotta say,
she just has no weak episodes. They're just all so damn good.
And this one hit hard.
Yeah.
I love the way in which, in a lot of ways, it's the same episode as the episode, the first full focus
season
episode that
for the
she
first
had,
season.
right?
Yeah, was that episode like 6 or 8 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
You know?
Yeah.
And because we start with a thing that is introduced that's a bit different than normal.
Yep.
You know, then it was the hero speech and all that stuff, right? Here it's the future, perspective and everything.
Right.
And then we realize that whole thing is actually something that she's been telling herself to make herself feel better.
Yep.
And
it makes sense.
It makes so much sense.
Because her problem really is that she's lying to herself.
Yes.
That's her big problem.
But also, there were even hints in the episode of, the fact that the great granddaughter or whatever is able to perfectly say the thing of the details of the shoot, right? When, how would she know that, right? And then it perfectly transitions into Princess Carolyn actually saying that in real time.
Right.
So it's it's not the fact that, and maybe this is what makes it go a step beyond the previous PC episode for me, is that in that one it was she does all of this stuff for all these other people, and then at the end of the day she has to have that speech told to her or tell it to herself, etc. Right. But in this situation, it's there throughout.
It's
right.
There
She is functioning, but the level that she's at, it's so the pressure is there to such a degree. She needs to have that Diane moment of just decompress, have a break from everything, get massaged for 6 hours, and just forget all of it.
Right.
But
but the reality of it is that Princess Carolyn is practicing a walking act of self-deception. She has her greatest flaw, in my opinion, is very similar to BoJack's. And we've talked about this in a previous bit, and that's why I think I like her so much, because she exemplifies another approach to the themes that BoJack explores, which is primarily one of ego, pride, and and arrogance in a way that practices more in the self-deception area rather than the egomania, wild chaos. It's the strict order of, I have everything under control. I don't need anybody's help. And thus, when she gets into these ways where she's practicing it more, she pushes people away, because if she was to let people know how out of control things were, then she would lose her peace. She would lose her sanity. She would lose her grip.
Well, because just like the necklace, the lie is still valuable, even if it's a lie, right?
Well, it's a veneer,
But I would say the big difference between Carolyn and BoJack is, there's other differences too, but with regards to their flaw specifically, is that Carolyn is driven enough to put the effort and elbow grease into the lie to basically make it kind of work, whereas BoJack, especially with where he was earlier on in the show, it was I'll tell myself these things so that way I can put my head in the sand and stay in my big empty house, right?
Well,
whereas with PC, because she distracts herself through activity, the activity keeps her in that state that's that level above BoJack as far as functionality, I guess, where she's able to actually do pretty good, because if she forgets about the fact that she's lying to herself and the lie that she tells to herself gets her to do the things that will be, good for her in some way, then it doesn't matter that it's a lie, right? And that's why the leaving her old work style and everything and doing hey, I'm gonna put that away. I'm gonna calm down and everything. Even though she also goes right back into it. But
I loved that, because that was a perfect example of it too. I'm no longer an agent. I'm a manager. What's the difference?
Yeah, and the fact that in the future, the future people, that's actually just herself, is also asking that question.
Right.
Yeah, and she doesn't really have an answer.
No, it's just because you're just doing the same thing as always. You just found a good way to convince yourself that you're okay with it now because it has a different name. You are literally seeing the active work of that self-deception in play.
Sure.
And I think what I really like about this is that all the people that she pushed away in this instance here are people that did actually fail her, but they failed her in the way that she fails people. And that's so good because that proves to her she sees that as a problem.
Yeah.
But she doesn't see it as a problem when she does it because it brings her a modicum of happiness, peace, or what have you.
Which was literally the reason that Judah did it.
Yes. No, that's my point, is that they do it for the exact same reason, but it's not okay because they're the ones doing it.
Yeah.
I love this because usually, in my experience from looking at people, myself, and just life in general, people generally tend to be sensitive around the areas that they're like actively like practicing or in dysfunction with themselves.
Yeah. If you're self-medicating for something, you're going to get very touchy about someone else trying to medicate it for you, right? It's like you're so close to the situation, and maybe it's such an important or sensitive, volatile, whatever situation that it's I'm the only one I can trust with this. It's like it feels like taking the whole YouTuber that won't hire an editor because they're worried that they won't.
That's such a great way to describe it. Oh my God. But nothing against people that edit their own videos. But this is a legit thing.
But when it gets to the point where it's I'm so protective over my baby that it destroys my life because I can't actually
or it destroys your baby.
Sure.
Because a classic example of this is the helicopter parent, basically saying I won't let anything happen to my child, so nothing happens to your child.
Right.
Your child is sterile and is in an
withers away and die in a thing where it can't grow
and
because
muscles atrophy. This is all in the
this is all poetic
language,
poetic exaggeration to get at the thing of what PC's dealing with. And the thing is that I can't fault her for dealing with that. In a lot of ways, I feel like the aspects of Princess Carolyn that make her my favorite character is because that's also where I know my own dysfunction is as well. And I would love to be as functioning in my dysfunction as Princess Carolyn is, right? Because I'm not, Princess Carolyn is a Superman, she's awesome.
Well, but she's also realistic. I think the thing that I really like is that while she does seem in a lot of ways superhuman, the part that I so like is that I could boil her down to a sentence. She is a master of communicating faster than most anybody else around her. So she actually seems smart and she's got a way of knowing what she's doing here, but she's not actually like a superhuman. She's spun the fake it till you make it thing enough that the second she realizes that she's going off course, she goes, "Oh, well, we'll do a new spin on the bullshit."
And that does great for her in Hollywood because that's what it's all about.
Because that's what the whole thing's about.
Right. And so
that just puts her deeper into the mix.
Fantastic at it, right?
Yes.
You merely adopted the darkness, that
I
whole
have
thing.
molded myself to become it.
Right.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the idea of actually being happy, the stuff that Hollywood won't take care of, right? She's completely declawed in a way, where it's the, oh, fuck, what do I do? And
that's why the boyfriend here is so great, because while he has his own flaws for sure, his thing specifically is about taking it easy.
Yeah.
Let's focus on ourselves.
That's
to
why
make
they're good
sure
for
that
each
we're
other.
doing doing good here.
Right.
And while he's not necessarily the most I would say
he has
the most direct with a lot of things. He kind of maybe lets things kind of stay a little bit quiet. Like he's not a very inquisitive,
right?
He's a very passive person.
He is not a perfect person. We only have, we only spend so much time on PC. We're going to have even less time to spend on him. So, to understand the ways in which he also is imperfect, even though their flaws complement each other, there will be some ways where they don't.
Exactly. And that idea of flaws complementing each other allows them to remain in their areas of stasis, if you will, regarding their flaws. Because then things stay easy. And that was so cool to have in the fight happen here, where he was trying to complement the way in which she does such a good job of, in some ways, with the bullshit, that he is almost like, wow, I thought I would have to be doing like a lot of stuff to emotionally pick you up. What he was trying to say was, you're so strong, Princess Carolyn. This is so easy. I thought I would have to be more like supportive in this case here. What he doesn't realize is that Princess Carolyn resents herself for having to spin all the bullshit, and she wants affirmation for having to spin all this. You think this is easy? Like, you think I have an easy life? I struggle daily.
I'm Sisyphus,
Right. I struggle daily. But it's the thing that Princess Carolyn actively wants the boulder. She gravitates towards the boulder.
And because
it keeps her feeling like she's got everything under control.
And because her whole thing is fake it till you make it, when it comes to like, she doesn't let people know this is actually really hard, so that then when it actually is hard and she'd like a helping hand, they can give it to her, because the only thing that she's ever basically communicated to them is, I got this.
Yep. I love so much this act here, because I think anybody that has a modicum of charisma has fallen for this trap at some point. I used to be in sales. I sold phones, basically. And sales is, I think, it's a really eye-opening thing to look at yourself and realize, like, okay, you could be a really horrible person but a good salesman.
Sure.
And that's really...
Scary.
It's almost scary and disturbing how easy it is to gravitate towards that. You can also be a really good person and also be a really good salesman. There's no mutual exclusivity here. But I remember managers basically actively encouraging, not like overt lying about products and things like that, but about like, oh, you don't feel confident, you don't feel like you're a good person for this kind of thing.
Oh, yeah,
just fake it till you make it. Just keep
that's sort of like towing the line of like being like not being deceptive, but
it's coaching people to be basically manipulative. Basically, it's something that's you go like, well, yeah, it's sales, but like no, like you are almost teaching people specifically the ways in which you can guide people to
teaching
doing
them to be,
what you want.
Right, teaching them to be con artists and then just making sure that the actual thing that you're peddling is not fake enough for it to actually be a con.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And it's really gross, but I think specifically what it revealed in me was that I felt sick after I was doing sales for like 3 or 4 months because I gravitated into that, and what people end up actually like really like latching onto were those like relationship building moments where you're like, hey, you understand I'm a salesman, I understand you're a customer, we're not actually going to build any real relationship here, but I'm going to make the process for this
as
easier and as enjoyable as possible. But it still is another form of a lie in that I am basically doing this to get them to buy the thing.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, and that's where if there's the mutuality of it, then it can be great because it's
right.
Yeah, sure, totally. But seduce me. The DM says to the player.
Exactly. But that idea of the mutual consent for the lie to be a part of almost like a societal thing. I'm not trying to get into that.
Yeah. Part of the transaction.
It's part of the transaction, but I think this is something where in relationships, you can't do that at all. You have to let things get messy. You have to let things come out and say things almost wrong so that you let them know like, hey, I'm willing to be unkempt in front of you. I'm willing to be
right. Well, and
angry, upset, frustrated.
And that's the part of where PC is so close.
Yes, she's so close.
And
exactly.
that some of the things that she's saying, it's like, yeah, that's accurate, but it's not helpful because of the other gunk that is being brought into it, right? The thing of hey, this might happen 5 more times. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Are you? If that was said in a truly open-hand kind of way,
truly open-handed
then
way,
that could be a very good point of conversation of like.
But it wasn't said vulnerably.
It wasn't said vulnerably. It was said. It was said as a threat, as an accusation, etc. An ultimatum. Where it's like I've already basically let myself become numb to this. Mm-hmm. So as a result of that,
hidden this side of myself from you.
Well, yes, but on top of that, because of that, I will not allow you to actually process any of the pain that comes as a result of this, because I'm going to demand that the thing that I developed over, say, a long period of time, getting that tough skin and everything, you must develop in this instant.
Now.
Right? You must have it now.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. Right?
No, that's not fair.
And so then,
and I love that they made this fight happen in the instance of where she's inebriated a little bit. It gives this little bit of oil to smooth between the kind of the grinding of the gears of how painful this is. but you can tell that when she starts spitting, she's lucid. She is actually tapping into something honest and deep. But the fact that she's doing it so effortlessly is probably because of the alcohol.
Right. It takes away those inhibitions that might make her second guess what she's saying.
Right,
Because
exactly.
again, because the problem with those sorts of things is that it's not that you'll say something that you don't mean.
Right.
It's that you mean all kinds of things. You don't say everything that you mean.
Right.
You have all kinds of thoughts, but you don't do everything that you think.
Yes.
You know?
You're,
so
oh my gosh.
And so
yeah.
in this situation, that's where whenever there's the makeup conversations in stories that I've seen for this kind of stuff, it feels like it gets at the wrong thing. Because it's no, I didn't mean that. No, there was that part of me that meant that, but that's just a part of me, and I don't choose to have that define me, right?
I have plenty of parts of me that are not pleasant, but I am doing my best to basically make sure that when those unpleasant parts come up, I'm not using them as weapons or as tools to harm you. A classic example of a relationship makeup that I would say is very, very utilized basically is hey, that wasn't me. Basically the acknowledgement of I said that, but it's the
It feels very persona.
Right.
You're not me, and then that
The part though that is kind of done in I'd say the better cases of this is basically the taking responsibility for I really hurt you. I really blew up there, and I said some things that I really shouldn't have, but that's not me. That's not who I am. And then you vulnerably say, "This is who I am."
Right.
I'm sorry. And while it's
even the that's not me is like it's close, but the difference
the
slight difference in it
but it's
is
a more
important
common
to
way.
acknowledge.
I think people
it's the shorthand, but
it points at a problem.
It points at a problem because there's the tendency is going to be to deny that part of yourself rather than the acceptance and say, and that is not all of me. Right.
But oh my God, I loved this fight blow up so much because while I could see the ways in which PC started off relatively well with this, the whole silliness of Todd and the clowns and stuff is to kind of
it's the dark comedy of the situation, right?
Well, no, I mean, sure, but I'm trying to get at the specifics of it's the fact that Carolyn is so casual with the lies and the deception to her boyfriend here. That it's one, I had this apartment. Two, I just had full mania chaos in here. And rather than going for hey, I just had mania and chaos in here, I'll explain to you this all in a bit. I'm a bit low with my alcohol
just
and stuff
everything right now. Yeah.
It's just a lot. Can we sleep on this? I'm going to be sober in the morning. You drank? Yeah, it's a whole thing. I can't go into it right now. There's a way in which that's a protective thing by shielding the thing, but
it doesn't really affect him much whether he knows that there's clowns and dentists in there, right? It's that's not really important given the grand scheme of things right now.
Right.
And yet it's the part of herself that is not letting herself be vulnerable of, I just had a bunch of clowns and dentists in here.
Right.
But
yeah.
Well, and that's where the so I didn't think about it from the relationship standpoint of not being honest with him. I saw it, but I love that. I saw it from the standpoint of that this is the reality check for herself, right? That she just thinks, oh, it's an apartment or whatever, but oh, hey, if you don't take care of it, if you don't acknowledge it, if you don't actually, look the gift opportunity in the mouth, right? You might not see, and that was just for the reference, because I loved that whole pun situation, but you might not see that, oh, hey, some clowns and dentists have been doing some whack shit in there when you weren't looking.
Is really good, yeah.
And it oh fuck, because you didn't bother to clean it out, right? You're so actively focused on doing and going to the next thing that you don't realize there's a lot of gunk that you're carrying around.
That's a big pile of shit over here,
and it might start to stink and cause some issues, So, yeah.
And it just sucks for PC because she's been in a situation where she doesn't really have a safe space to communicate this stuff outside of these two men, really.
Yeah.
And this is something that I have yearned for PC, but if you notice, she doesn't really have any female friends.
No.
There is a reason for that, I think.
Sure.
And I think it's her competitive nature. I think it's that she does not actually show vulnerability, but she likes being in positions of power where people are supporting her because they have to. And this is something that I think points at a potentially even deeper issue of the pride angle, but it's a control issue.
That's what I was going to say too.
Of something where if you're in a situation where the only people supporting you are people that have to.
Right. Even if it's because of your own, organization and negotiations and stuff like that to convince them or
for
whatever.
Judah, or for in the case of relationally, you are building something really great with your boyfriend here. So he doesn't have to, but he gets to. He wants to. He loves to. But it's still something where there's an implied social contract that you have with him, and you very much stated it in this fight, that you don't get to be mad at me. This is my day, basically.
Right.
That moment where you realize that while in a very specific context, she's right about one thing. She's got a point. She lost a baby, something that had been something she'd been very, very desperately longing and hoping to be a positive thing. But Princess Carolyn, he took the few initial bits of this really well, but he just wanted to move things into a more congenial setting and stuff. So
and that's where I feel like the fight reinforces why they're so good for each other, because I feel like he did the exact right amount of standing up for himself in the fight while not causing it to be something that escalates the situation. But there wasn't really any talking with Princess Carolyn, right? She had an absolutely shitty day.
No.
And so this was the I'm digging my own hole, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Because all of the things that he was saying, it felt very much like hey, I'm being vulnerable about where I am at with this. I'm not doing it in any way that is belittling your situation. I just want to be with you in this.
And she took his vulnerability and used it as a weapon back.
Yeah.
It's the sad thing where PC is a lot like BoJack in that most of her issues come from not listening.
Yeah.
And the reason why I would say primarily is because she believes she's the one that should be speaking. And there's a couple things you could get into with that. I think she's basically the charisma build that, started, ignoring her other stats basically because she could get on just by with the one thing. And when she's inebriated, when she's had a bad day, when she's had all these things happen, when she's had all these environmental things that she can't really control happen bad to her, it's now my one stat doesn't work. And now it's everybody else's problem that I've had a bad day and I had this thing here. And then rather than opening herself up to be like, hey, I need people, I need help here, it's okay, I'm going to dish it out and hurt people.
And then since I feel out of control, but I like being in control and specifically getting that, but this hasn't been working, I'm going to go back to basically the easy one, right? You want to talk about things being easy. It's not that Princess Carolyn's been easy, it's that BoJack's been easy. And that's why you keep going back to him, because even though there's all the problems that he causes for you, when it comes to you dealing with his problems that are not the personal problems, but the, just his business problems or things like that, it's very easy. Consider for you, this is no problem, right?
Yeah.
Now, granted,
you could even go a step further, but
yeah. Well, because the thought that I have, at the very least in this case, he's definitely had some doozies in the past, because he certainly can make things difficult.
He does.
But with I'm just gonna hear him talk about his stuff or whatever, and how he's kind of just fucking things up or whatever. That's a known, that's a familiar thing, and now I can basically get that easy W that doesn't mean anything, but it makes me feel good in that moment, right?
Right. Another thing you could go in depth into it with it is that BoJack will never ask her to be vulnerable.
Oh, sure.
He will only ever talk about his own problems.
Yeah, right. He won't
and
even.
So you have an eternally needing fixing, needing solving, needing controlled problem that you can just keep your hands on.
Keep scratching the post. You know.
Yeah. And it's sad because I think that most people do this actually. This kind of behavior, this repetition. It's why phone game apps have you manage like little towns of resources and stuff. It's the idea of feeling like you're having like a little bit of incremental progress.
Sure, but you're just on the wheel.
You're just on a wheel. You're just spinning a little wheel that means nothing. It'll get you feeling maybe a little bit better than you were before, but what is it going to take from you in the process to spend your time, your energy, your resources on something that actively drains you?
God, like that's just making me think all the times that I've tried to grind like ranked points, you know, in some game or something like that. And it's like,
well, yeah, because like if you need something for an escape, use it for an escape. But if you're using it to feel better about your purpose,
because number go up or whatever,
yeah, like really check it, because I don't think there's anything wrong with any of these things individually. It's the fact that people do this specifically to feel like they're making progress in another area. And that is where, active self-delusion.
Well, but like, that's also where and like we had a big disagreement on this when it happened, but that's where PC's thing of being a manager instead of an agent, that was a potential upgrade, right? Like, and in a lot of ways it just wasn't enough of a difference that it wasn't enough to overcome the bad habits, you know? But like the oh yes, I do get something out of doing this. I like to you know, like sort of take charge and make deals and do that whole thing. That could be just fine, but it's imbalanced, and so when, you know,
and the reason why she was doing it was self-delusion, basically.
Well,
self-deception.
Sure, but like, you know, it's that whole thing of the, you know, like if she was doing like the Sisyphus style, like, you know, perpetually roll the boulder up the hill,
right?
Going over and, you know, rolling that boulder every once in a while to like keep yourself in shape and, you know, and be like, yeah, this is fun. Okay, I'll struggle a little bit, you know, and then set it down and go on with your life, go on with the rest of your day.
It's a real stretch to call that exercise, you know. It's the like.
Well, I mean, hence the whole, you know, the difference between the people that like go to the gym to work out versus like find a hobby that is physically active.
Well,
you know,
to compare it to what happened in the previous episode, it's the rich people punching themselves in the stomach to feel alive. It's the look, I'm in pain, so I'm working myself out. Like I'm struggling, therefore I'm doing things right. There's a great mindset that I've heard a lot of people have like over the course of my life, where it's the like, if you're feeling like you're getting like you're suffering or you're going through hardship and stuff like that, that means it's the
pain means it's working.
The pain means it's working. It's the world is trying to keep you from a good thing, and you're actively then moving in a positive direction, and your pain reinforces that. And it's the like, oh no, pain is a survival response to you wanting to be able to live. It is not a thing that shows that you're in the right direction.
Right, pain versus discomfort and all that stuff. In a lot of ways, PC's situation, pardon the analogy, but it's very much like a dog on a bone. I know you're a cat, but but like, I'm sure in the dog's head, it thinks it's making all kinds of progress on that bone. You know,
I'm gonna tear the
bone.
I'm
gonna, you know. And the thing is, sometimes you just need a bone to gnaw and get some energy out.
That's true.
And it doesn't have to like give you some big, you know, productive thing. It can just be a thing you like doing, right?
Absolutely.
You know, it's the kid where you say you run around the house 5 times. You know, you know, settle down a little bit.
Yeah, we're not
you know?
robots. We can't just constantly.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that she even said to in the future in her own headspace, right? You know, so that's man, that like that's given me like Community, the episode where everything is like the movie, but then you realize the recontextualizing, you know, like at the end, and it's like, oh man. But yeah, so my heart goes out to you, PC. You're gonna figure this stuff out. You're in a rough patch.
Oh,
I think
you realize like what you just said there. You're gonna figure this out. Like this is but that's the thing, right?
No. She is no. Well, that's the see. That's the tough bit is because in her own desire to be the one that can do it all.
Yeah.
She's not realizing that, yeah, when all you have is a hammer and it's a real good hammer, everything looks like nails. But, you know, when you're using that same hammer and, oh no, you broke the china or the window, that might mean that your other tools that are more conducive for those kinds of projects are actually really weak. And so
that's my whole charisma thing. That's my exact thing with that.
But then the cool part about that is that if you shift your perspective, hey, there's a new project to struggle at. And so that's where the strength that she has can go back to being a strength rather than being something that's a crutch.
Right.
She just has to, you know, have that realization, and
Maybe
it might be a bit of a rude awakening.
Look at other options. The exact same thing he said. Fuck.
Yeah.
There was a B plot that happened. It was really funny, and I liked that the story basically acknowledged hey, this isn't important right now, but we do have to have BoJack in it. Probably every single episode.
And any kind of
like
DMV-esque,
with
you know,
audio, like voice acting contracts or whatever. That was kind of funny.
Any kind of line waiting ticket system and all that. Oh my God. I love that even after Diane was recognized, I love your stuff. Now go over to the line where you have to wait for 3 hours. You know, like that didn't change it. You don't change the system.
No. I really liked the whole thing of where it's I'm a person that people just do what I want. They go to the DMV basically, and it's just like, next in line, you know, like
God himself, you know. No,
you can't beat those people in the
people say that
local
only two
government
constants
offices or the DMV. They are made of sterner shit than you could.
People like to say that the only two constants in life are death and taxes. That's wrong. Even the IRS bows down before the DMV.
But fantastic PC episode, giving us probably her most heartfelt rant and crashing and burning of her own making. I loved the way that Judah took this.
Yes, I was just about to.
I think that the thing that might have been a really cool thing that Judah did step over the line with is that to her, Judah is not a friend.
No.
And thus, he's not allowed to make decisions for her.
Oh, okay.
But everything that he's been doing with regards to her schedule and stuff, we see that he's been making decisions for her over and over, like hundreds of times.
Oh, yeah.
He did it in this episode, like multiple times. She thanks him for it. The second he does one with regards to something that she doesn't like, she then says, you can't do that thing that you've been doing all this time. He did not throw that back in her face.
Nope.
He was professional. He understood. I might have taken on a little bit of a role of a friend here in this case because I do actually like you and I do care about you. But
and that's
okay.
That's where like he is subservient to her in that he works for her.
Right.
But in this situation, the role I would say that they actually have is that of partners, where she's the one that makes the decisions, because his job effectively with the stuff that she was actually having him do is help make my life better, basically.
Well,
right?
It's really funny if you think about what he's actually doing. He's managing.
Right. Yeah. Watchmen, who manages the managers, right? You know? And so it's we're both managers in this situation. I'm managing all these other people and you watch my back, right? And that's effectively what he was doing. And the thing that he did went, a little bit past that, but it was still in the realm of like you were saying, the kinds of stuff that he was doing. It was just maybe at a bigger scale. And the thing is that if she had found out about it back then, like after she made the decision as a result of him not telling her and everything, she might have been like, you know what? Good call. Thank you. Right? If it had been any other day other than this day, she probably would have seen the wisdom in it and been like, maybe tell me next time just in case, or I give you permission to do that in extreme circumstances, but you got to make sure that you use
or don't do that when the money amount goes above, $100 million or something.
Something like that, right?
I really like also that in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I didn't like how stupid that made me look. Like, she said something along the lines in this episode of, you made me look dumb or something in front of this guy. And of all the reasons to be upset with him initially,
a simple pride one
this,
as opposed to the actual decision itself.
Exactly.
Well, you made me look not in control.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I like being in control, and I really needed to be in control today.
But I also...
You kept my cocaine from me.
Right. Yeah, I don't like being reminded that there are areas that I cede control over to people.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Can you imagine how
I love the hypocrisy in it because of how many things she lets him just decide. I moved your doctor's appointment up to this time so that you would actually be able to, move things in with your schedule.
Right. That's my bad. I changed your doctor's appointment, so that makes sense that you would have forgotten about it.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like PC had the opportunity to do Judah already was absolutely in her corner, and that wasn't even after she fires him, he lets her boyfriend know so that it's like, hey, maybe check in with her, right?
Yeah.
But if that whole thing had happened and she had been like, now of course, yes, shouldn't expect her to do this. She had a really shitty day and all that stuff.
Yep.
But can you imagine if it's been like, hey Judah, this thing happened. What's up with that? Okay, no, don't worry about it. I like that you used your judgment. Next time, maybe tell me, because that's at that big scale kind of thing.
And she's had the shittiest day, so she can't do that.
Yeah,
it's so fucking good because when you have the worst days, the main thing that you need basically is just to stop.
Yeah,
go back, doing essentially what she was trying to do. Go back to that place of calm, quiet, and everything there, and just relax. Do nothing. Instead, she found clowns and Todd.
Right.
Just
chaos.
But
and the fact that the thing that the one thing not related to the main situation that her boyfriend brought up, that kind of didn't help, but also didn't help specifically because it was poking at the real issue that ended up causing the problem, was effectively the, why did you still have this place? Why do you need this place? Are you looking for an out?
Yeah.
Right? Are you making sure that you can abandon ship if you need to? And then, oh hey, what's she do? Right? So yeah. Good luck, PC.
Yeah, good luck, PC. I love that you have the capacity to deceive yourself that everything's going to be okay when it's a lie, so that you can keep going and you won't give up. But at some point, you're going to have to hold on to something true and real so that you have actual happiness and peace. Most of these characters are holding on to a facade of happiness and peace. And I like the way in which the story combines that with the way all of them approach things. And while we have one character who defies all reason and logic by being just himself, Todd.
Oh, sure.
He even in himself is too ignorant about the ways of things to even truly attain real happiness and peace.
And I mean, that's been specifically focused on this season with the whole thing of being asexual. What does that mean? Who am I? What's my place in the world? How do I, but
without going fully into that, just making the point that if these characters want to have that, if they want to have that happiness and peace, the story is making it perfectly clear what you need to do.
Right.
You need to start practicing, self-acceptance with regards to where your flaws are and start taking responsibility. And in some ways, start climbing out of the tar pit rather than trying to build a home here. It is not easy.
Hope it floats.
But it is a very easy answer. It's just that the process is not easy. And thankfully, we're seeing BoJack make a lot of kicking and flailing. And
to try and get out. Right. And so good job. Keep that up.
Yeah.
This is episode 9. Episode 11 is right around the corner.
Very soon, yeah.
I think this might be hopium. Yeah, right. But
11,
you cannot escape
episode 11 still arrives.
Yep. But I think that next episode,
will be really good.
And like that breather, calm before the storm, you know? Like it's gonna be that one. There might be a stinger at the end or something, but like this is gonna be the okay. Wow. All right. Whew, we get to just relax. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be silly. It's gonna be like governor race stuff and whatnot, and then you know to prime us for
loose. Yeah. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about animated shows in general. Also, be sure to check out our Twitch channel. So yeah, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.